Civil liberties, a very important topic in the United States these days, and Valparaiso University School of Law is at the forefront in discussing that topic. Hi, I'm Tom Scher. Valparaiso Law recently held a Civil Liberties Forum on campus, and the guest of honor was Nadine Strossen, the president of the American Civil Liberties Union. Professor Strossen and Valparaiso Law professors were heard from. Here are some of the highlights. The event was held in Waisman Hall before an audience of Valparaiso Law students, faculty, and others from Northwest Indiana and the Chicago area.
America's greatest gifts to itself and the world are those values embodied in the Bill of Rights, including the freedoms of speech, association, assembly, freedom of the press, and freedom of religion. So too, we guard vigorously our rights to equal treatment, due process, and privacy. There is a saying that a mind is like a parachute. It only works when it is open.
Professor Strossen appeared at the invitation of Valparaiso University law professor Penelope Andrews.
I was very inspired when I looked at the website of this law school, and I saw that your mission is that law is a calling. And I really feel that very profoundly. People don't like lawyers in general, but their own lawyer they really like. So the point is, people resent it when you do a good job defending other people's rights, but they want you to defend their rights. And that's what happens with the ACLU all the time.
Professor Strossen then discussed proposed regulations and eligibility rules for voters in Indiana. In a case before the United States Supreme Court, the ACLU argues that the new regulations impose hardship on many eligible voters.
Collecting all the information necessary to satisfy the BMV, the Bureau of Motor Vehicles requirements is a daunting process for thousands of potential voters in Indiana. For instance, Teresa Clemente does not have a license or identification card and attempted to obtain one after learning of the new law. She went to the BMV and brought numerous documents, but when she got there, she was told she needed her birth certificate. She returned home and brought her birth certificate back, but was refused because it was not a certified copy. She then sent away to Massachusetts, where she was born, to obtain her birth certificate, and after paying $28, she received her birth certificate 14 days later. She returned to the BMV branch only to be told the birth certificate was not acceptable because it contained her maiden name, not the married name she had used for more than 5 decades. Justice Ginsburg asked how far away the county seat is. Chief Justice Roberts answered her question. He said, well, the furthest county seat is not very far anywhere in Indiana. And then Mr. Smith says, no, if you're an indigent person, Your Honor, in Lake County in Gary, Indiana, you'd have to take the bus 17 miles down to Crown Point to vote every time you want to vote. Justice Scalia, it's not a burden if you're not indigent? Mr. Smith, well, it's less of a burden, Your Honor, considerably less of a burden, you, Justice Scalia. 17 miles is 17 miles for the rich and the poor. And I'm getting chilled again.
Valparaiso Law professors JoEllen Lind and D.A. Jeremy Telman offered their thoughts.
Always keep in mind that without the ACLU's vigilance, we might not be able to argue at all.
Professor Telman described his differences of opinion with the ACLU president.
Courts do not make foreign policy. And in the case of the post-9/11 legislation that Nadine's criticized, legislation such as the USA Patriot Act, what she calls the warrantless wiretapping program, but what I'll call the terrorist surveillance program, it would be a travesty of democracy and also of common sense if vital decisions relating to national security were made not by the qualified people with the necessary expertise and unfettered access to intelligence, but judges who lack either, and also lack the accountability to which our political branches are subject.
Professor Lind then made clear her strong agreement with Professor Strossen's concerns about civil liberties.
Who guards the guardians? Apparently, no one. The executive branch seems to say to us currently, just trust us. I'd love to take a vote on the number of people who'd be willing to do that now. It is our responsibility as citizens in this country to make the tough decisions about liberty and order. But we cannot do it without adequate information. We need to know what the price tag is, and we need to know what we are buying at the cost of our liberty? Do we want to be the land of the free and the home of the brave, or the land of the surveilled and the home of the torturers?
Media coverage of the Civil Liberties Forum was substantial. Those in the audience had these thoughts.
Well, I thought the ACLU did a really good job of raising some issues that need to be raised in society, and the professors both presented compelling arguments on each side of those issues.
Well, I think it actually is one of the best events that we've had at the law school since I've been here. I'm a 2L student, which means I've been here for 2 years almost now, and I think it was very important that we had the civil liberties information brought to us.
It's admirable. I'm so glad that Valpo did bring this discussion. And more of this should be done to enlighten the people.
It makes me realize I need to get more active, and I consider myself a person who cares, but I think I better take these things more seriously.
The Civil Liberties Forum was one of many special events held by Valparaiso University School of Law. For more details, please contact our website at www.valpo.edu/law.